You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, joined as we are every Tuesday by the one and only Charlie 5. How are you, sir?
Feeling victorious, Zach.
Good.
Let's go. Let's do this thing. I'm fired up. Let's go.
What a huge win. I mean, what a crazy
gigantic
win for this program. Big deal. Big deal. And, I don't really want to dive in on the minor details and the minuscule stuff, but the big picture things of and we got this question in the Locked On Auburn Discord. It's like, how much can this win hold us over? Because this is a big one. First time we've gone down there and won in 20-something years. That's a huge deal. And I think the Auburn fan base is going to be okay holding on to that for a little bit.
For sure. I hate to always go back to the last regime, but I believe Gus was 0 and how forever versus the big three on the road. Never won at Tuscaloosa, never won at Georgia, never won at LSU, and Harsin is officially 1-0.
1-0.
And it was a fun game to watch into the wee hours of the morning. It was great. And then you're so jacked up you can't go to bed. So it's like 12:30 when the game ends. You're like, well, I'm just going to sit around until like 2 a.m. until my adrenaline wears off.
Then you're in your bed just like scrolling on your phone through Twitter. Like, everyone's so happy. All right.
I need more hot takes, more.
We're going to beat Georgia next week. It's like, whoa, hold on. Hold on. I know we're excited, but hold on for a second. So, all right. One of the things I want to talk about with all of this is Bo Nix has been really, really good when he was moving around and doing stuff against LSU. Is that something that can continue to happen? Is that something that we can expect on a week-to-week basis? I've got thoughts on this, but I want to hear yours first.
So I was in a group text, and I hate to be like, we're so high, we're all excited. I hate to like just be cynical right off the bat. But like we spent so long all summer, all whatever off season talking about Bo Nix running around too much, and and he's kind of stopped doing it, so to speak. And then in this game, he's looks like Johnny Manziel. He's running left, he's running right, he's bailing. Granted, he had to quite a bit, and he had success with it. So it's like, oh gosh, are we going to regress from a pocket presence aspect? I don't know. And that I hate that I automatically went there, but it is something that you got to think about. But I think the bottom line is Bo is what he is. He is athletic. He runs. He likes to run. He likes to make plays, ad lib. He's shown that he can stand in the pocket and throw it around, and they mixed in a lot of short passing, quick passing stuff to help aid that. But at the end of the day, you got to let him be himself. And I think his, the pressure and the focus, he said it, not me, even though it was the meme. He said he was more focused, all of that, and letting him go. It ended up working in the end.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's all about balance, right? And Lindsay and I talked about that a little bit yesterday, but it's all about finding the right balance for Bo and for Harsin and Bobo and all of those folks. And LSU's defense is really bad. And I'm with you. I don't want to just kind of push down everything because we're at a high point right now as a fan base. But if he did that against Georgia on Saturday, I would be blown away.
For sure. And we've said it before the season that this was the most winnable LSU game on the road that we probably had in a number of years. And we won it. And we did have to come from behind and battle. And there was some, we dug ourselves a big hole, but it's not like it was, we knocked off one of the best LSU teams that's ever been. We knocked off one that we thought that was the most vulnerable. Even though they do lead the SEC in sacks, it's still good to go in there and win, especially at night. late in the evening hours when things get crazy. So I don't want to take too much away from it.
No, I don't either. But I think a lot of what happened Saturday night isn't comparable. I don't know if the success that they had transfers to Georgia, A&M, and Alabama.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I think it does to Arkansas. I think it does to Ole Miss. I think it does to Mississippi State. Yeah. And so, I think Auburn could still have, if they play just like they did Saturday night, this may be an 8-4 team when we were looking at them. Because, Saturday was such a good day for Auburn because most of the SEC just really stunk it up. All the teams that Auburn's kind of battling with for that, that second tier in the conference behind Alabama and Georgia.
Right. Like number 3 spot.
Yeah. And it's like A&M doesn't deserve it. No. Ole Miss doesn't deserve it. Arkansas doesn't deserve it. And it's like, okay, I think Auburn could beat those teams.
For sure. One thing I did think we found late in the game that I've kind of hoped we would finally discover is how stressful it is for a defense when Sean Shivers goes into the flat on like a running back swing pass. That is a stressful play. Even if the play doesn't go to him, it's got to be stressful because there's no linebacker that can go from the middle of the field and track him down and beat him to the edge. He's going to win that battle every time. So they're going to have to cheat. They're going to have to, they're going to have that in the back of their head now that play had so much success. We ran it like 4 times, and I think it got a first down every single time we ran it. That is a stressful play thing that we found that Sean can do really well. And little things like that, I think we can build on and use against Georgia and just keep their speed sort of in check because they're very fast. If you can get them thinking instead of reacting, you might have a chance to make a few plays.
I love that you bring that up because you're totally right. You either have to admit and just accept that you're in a mismatch if a linebacker covers Shivers out of the backfield, or you move a safety up to do it, and then you've got other stuff opening up and mismatches somewhere else on the field. So, and also a lot of the safeties in the conference, I feel comfortable with Shivers running them over because that's who he is, the personality trait of his. And
he's going to try. And he's
a Locked On Auburn athlete. So there's that.
100%. He'll break your face.
We love him. You know what else we love? Charlie 5. I got a text from a fraternity brother of mine. Shout out Bryce. I think he's a pretty
Bryce
listener. Love you a long time. But had one of the best catches in intramural football history
ever seen.
Ever. I think about it once a week. I'm embarrassed to say that. But he's going to see family in Columbus. Then he's driving in Saturday for the Auburn Georgia game. And he's like, bro, let me know if you need me to pick up anything from Frisky Whiskey.
Whiskey. Yes, I knew it.
Dude, I was texting about like, dude, you're going to be blown away. He's like, dude, I am ready for mine to be blown. He's like, I've never been. I'm so excited. And I'm excited to talk to him after he goes because it's an experience. I know it. You know it. A lot of folks listening know it. Frisky,
it's like a theme park.
It's like a theme park for liquor.
Yes. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So type in Frisky Whiskey and your phone's GPS will take you right there, or just hop on I-85 right when you go into Georgia. If you're leaving Auburn, Opelika, you'll see the billboards all over the place. It's awesome. Hey, today's show also brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. Have you heard about Prize Picks? Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. I love this. I know you will too. There's a ton of props, a ton of things that you can bet on. And if you listen to the show, you know your stuff. If you listen to any of the Locked On podcasts throughout our network, you know your stuff. And Prize Picks recognizes that too. And so they want to give all of our listeners a nice little deposit match. So use promo code Locked On. When you do that, you'll get a deposit match up to $100. Don't hesitate. Get in on the action.
Free money action.
Free money at prizepicks.com. Use promo code Locked On, or you can go to the App Store and download their app. Charlie 5. $1 million question this week. Can Auburn beat Georgia on Saturday?
Woo! I was hoping we would kind of ease into it, but we're just going to go ahead and dive on in. I like it.
Here we are. We're jumping in.
It's going to be, I'm not surprising anybody when I say it's going to be tough. The matchup that I think will determine the game is, can Auburn stop the run? If Auburn can stop the run, I think we can scheme. We'll be able to scheme. Well, there'll be something where we'll be able to create at least, one or two big plays where we can get in scoring range, create a turnover, something like that. If we can stop the run, I think that's the big matchup. If we can stop the run, I think that we might have a chance, because I still am not 100% sure if JT Daniels is going to play. And
I don't think it matters, actually. I don't think it matters who's Georgia's quarterback.
Really? Well, I just think vertically we keep everything in front of us. Hudson Mason's not going to take the top off of this defense. JT Daniels actually has a little bit of whatever his name is. Doesn't matter.
Sounds like that guy was either like put on this planet to be a Georgia quarterback or a
lawyer
player.
Yeah.
Or a lawyer. Stetson. Like, that's not a real name. Nobody names their kid Stetson Bennett.
Exactly. So, I just think that if we can stop the run, we might have a chance late in the game to make a play, kick a field goal, something like that. It's going to be, if that happens, though, I think it's going to be a really low scoring game, because it's going to be really tough for us to get anything going on offense. We're going to have to hit some big plays. We're just not going to be able to dink and dunk and just have long sustained drives against them. I just don't see that happening. They're just too good. You're going to have to hit them big and hit them big, hit them early, and just pray that you can convert when you have your chances to score, because they are legit. This is the best defense that we may ever see in college football so far.
It's very good. That's why what you said surprised me a little bit. Like, I don't really think the story is about, from an Auburn perspective, I don't think the story is about when Georgia has the football, because I actually think Auburn's defense is going to be okay. I think it's going to be fine. It's I would just say the opposite of what you said. I would be like, can Auburn run the football? Can Auburn run the football on Georgia? Because I don't think they're going to be able to. Like, I think it's going to be a really, really tough thing, because no one else has been able to so far.
No.
And while Clemson doesn't look to be near as good as what they normally are, I thought Arkansas was a good football team. They still could be a good football team.
Just embarrass them. Just absolutely manhandle Arkansas.
It's a different class. I mean, it's a totally different. I mean, that is such a prime example of I think Arkansas has really good coaching, and I think they're a really inspired team, and they've got the heart and the passion, but that only goes so far. I mean, that's a bunch of fired up 3-stars versus a bunch of trained 5-stars, and that's the result. That's the result.
That is.
What's different here, though, is sorry to cut you off, but what's different here is Auburn does pretty well at home.
Yes.
It's always one thing. And I think there's going to be, the aspect and the fact that this is the first time there's been a full capacity SEC game in this stadium in multiple years. That's a big deal.
You're going to be fired up, man.
Yeah, it's the first relevant home game of the Brian Harsin era. That matters. He's going to care about that. These players are going to care about that. And I don't know, man. I think that's enough. I think it's enough to matter. And also, while Auburn is not on the same recruiting caliber as Georgia, they are much closer to Georgia than Arkansas is. And
yes, by far.
I just, when you look at where Auburn has fallen short so far this year, I don't think talent's a part of it. And I think that's something that Auburn fans should be excited about, because it's just been guys either not covering people. The Penn State thing, we all wanted to freak out about the tight ends being uncovered. It's you'd rather that happen long-term, when you talk about long-term development of a team over the course of a season, because you can fix that. You can fix that when you're going through film sessions and saying, okay, we left this guy wide open. It's like when the offensive line, people want to slam the offensive line because they leave a guy unblocked. It's well, when you're teaching these guys to get better as a unit and better as a team and in the system, it's way easier to tell them to fix that than to just get beat. You're not really seeing a whole lot of these guys just get beat throughout this season. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think that's something that's good. But Georgia just lined up and they just beat Arkansas. They just whooped them. I mean,
man for man.
There was no scheme mismatch or anything. There's we are better than you at literally everything.
We're going to throw 11 passes and just absolutely bust your teeth in. They could have not thrown a pass, I think, and been just fine.
Dude, they could have done literally anything they wanted to. I mean,
Right.
A lot of these teams, and I forget who said it, may have been Herb Street that said it, but it's like if you line up and Georgia only plays defense and returns punts, they will beat most teams in college football because the defense is just special. It's just special. I don't think he's too far. I mean, that's how they beat Clemson.
Exactly. Just don't make mistakes.
They would have beaten Arkansas. So I think that's something that you've really got to think on. So I was a little surprised when you said that. That was a long way of me getting to that point.
For sure. For sure. They don't make mistakes, but you know what? They have not played at anywhere in the ballpark of what they're about to play in Saturday. The home SEC opener after 2 years off. Everybody, there's a little bit of fire after the LSU win. I think they're going to be excited. How do they react when they make that mistake? Because they are going to make a mistake in this game. So it's just, are we going to be in the ball game when it happens, and can they respond? That is what because they have faced zero adversity so far. I'm very anxious to see how they handle when that mistake happens, because it's going. I would almost be willing to guarantee that it's going to happen at some point in time. And can we stop their run? Can we stop the run and make them have to throw it to beat us? It seems like Derek Mason is slowly figuring out this defensive personnel. Right. We wish it was a lot quicker, but figuring it out, their strengths, their weaknesses, and how to disguise some deficiencies. What I think is deficiencies in size at some point in time, especially on the line, the interior part of it. I think we're just kind of slowly building on the defensive side. Can we stop their run, and then what kind of big play can we create on offense? I think that'll be the key. That'll be the key to the game. So
I got two questions about what you just said.
All right.
The first question is, okay, you don't think that Georgia's faced adversity yet. You don't think playing Clemson week 1 was adversity?
Okay, so when I say adversity, like they haven't had to, they haven't had that big that play where okay, now we've put ourselves sort of behind. To me, that game was never really in jeopardy. It was pretty clear. It was pretty clear, regardless of the score, that they were in control of that game. And they had the pick six. The pick six was the only touchdown they scored. But to me, there was no doubt about that game. You could tell they were physically overmatched. They were just physically outmatched. Clemson was, and there wasn't really anything that was going to happen unless they just happened to bust a big play, and they never did. Yeah. So I just feel like it's just a team, like I said, riding high. They're ready. They're going to come in Jordan Hare, whatever you want to call it, and
Jordan Hare is the name of the building. Yeah,
whatever. Jordan, whatever. Anyway, they will see something they haven't seen before, and I think yet, and the crowd will be raucous, and they're going to have to be ready, because I think they're going to come. We're going to come hard early, and hopefully we can make something happen early in the game.
Other question.
Hit it.
Are we better than Clemson?
We might be. They're not very impressive, and I can't quite put my finger on what it is. I guess it's the quarterback is just not.
I think it is.
He's not that good.
And now I think mentally, I mean, people that were brought into that program have been trained to compete for championships.
Exactly.
And now they're in a situation where they cannot compete for championships anymore, and that's obviously an issue. So I think that's part of it. But yeah, I just think if Clemson goes to Happy Valley, I think they lose by a lot more than what we did.
For sure.
And then
100%.
I still think they go to LSU and win, though.
It's possible. I don't know. They didn't. I think LSU would stroke NC State possibly. They went to. Was that game at NC State? Was that in? Was it there or was it at home? I'm not 100% sure, but that was not that was definitely a bad game. And then Georgia Tech, they may have been either behind or within like a couple of points at halftime in that game. That was a close game. So I don't know. I'm not sure that they would beat LSU.
It's a weird thing to talk about.
I know. I know. Like, where did this gap come in? Like, where did this talent gap come in?
The fall off. I mean, just dramatic.
The fall off after Trevor is crazy. What do you think? Dabo may have been possibly looking ahead to possibly another job. I don't know. Just throwing that out there.
What job? But where would he go?
I think he's going to go to Alabama as soon as Saban leaves. Maybe
that ain't happening anytime soon.
Possibly, probably not. But
it could happen soon. It could happen soon though. If you ordered auto parts from rockauto.com, they would show up at your door real soon because that's their thing. I mean, they've been doing it for forever. And helping people save time and money because people use rockauto.com. So you should go do that too. And you'll just do it and let us know how soon the parts get to your door. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car, truck, or your SUV, right? Locked On Auburn in there. How did you hear about us box? So they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, and all the parts your car will ever need at rockauto.com. And when you time it, be sure to use a stopwatch, not a calendar, because it's that quick. Also, today's show brought to you by our friends at Sweatblock. Sweatblock is doctor created, doctor recommended, up to 7 days per use. They have what they call the dry shirt guarantee. It's awesome. Also, it's the bestseller on Amazon for the last decade, over 13,000 reviews. Currently the number one spot in the Amazon antiperspirant category. And that, let me tell you what, Charlie 5, the antiperspirant category in Amazon is cutthroat. I mean, that is a competitive thing.
That is super competitive.
Yep.
Like, there's a lot of sweat defenders on Amazon, and Sweatblock stands alone.
That's right. That's right. And I'm sure they're not even sweating it because I'm sure they use their own product.
Keep it going. This is great.
No, so much stuff today. No, go and check them out at sweatblock.com. Sweatblock.com. Use promo code Locked On for 20% off at sweatblock.com. All right, we got a few minutes left. Charlie 5. Any specific players? Actually, I was asked this. So a few minutes before we sat down to record this, I went on with Dave Schultz and WNSP in Mobile, and he asked me the question, and I hesitated, and I eventually answered. I'm curious to see if your answer is the same here. Right. Who is the best running back on Auburn's team right now?
Right now, it's Jarquez Hunter, hands down. It's not
what
even close.
In the world is happening?
I don't even know what's I mean, the kid is. I don't know if it's so much that Tank's dinged up. His vision is absolutely insane. That run, the toss sweep, he sees a guy early on the edge and makes a move on him that I'm not sure many people see because, like I said, the guy was really low coming at him, and he sees him immediately and hits the cutback. And that's what sprung him. If he just continues to run to the edge, it's a maybe 3 or 4 yard gain. The kid his vision is unbelievable. His explosion through the line. I am so dadgum excited. When they showed him doing 660-pound squats in cowboy boots, I was ready to just go flip furniture over. That got me fired up.
Well, there's a lot to get fired up about that for sure. But it's interesting because you're totally right. He's very patient when he runs, but his patience looks different than like what Carry-On.
Like he's tiptoeing.
Well, Carry-On would just stop in the backfield. Like, I mean, that was just a crazy thing, and he just understood what was happening. Jarquez's is more of like a timing thing than a patient thing. He just understands the speed of what's happening around him. He's on this, and just the understanding the angle of like, okay, I can work up field for a second, draw guys in, then slowly shift to the outside, draw more guys in, and then just kind of use that speed and understanding angles. And the fact that he gets it at this age is crazy. I wonder if
it's because he's a shorter guy. He still has to have his legs going. So it's not like a creep to the hole, like kind of like Carry-On used to do, where it was just Carry-On was like what 6'1", 6'2", so his strides were a lot longer. This kid's got to go ahead and get the legs going a little bit, even though he's throttling it. It's a lot easier for him to flip it on because he's not super far from like hitting it and going full speed. Anyway, I've always wondered if shorter backs have an advantage in that aspect. But this kid, man, is he fun to watch. You just feel like something big's going to happen. And we're 5 games through the season. He's still averaging over 10 yards a carry. He does have the 94-yard run, but if you take that out, he's still probably somewhere around 7 or 8 yards a carry. He just makes it happen. He just makes it happen. And it's kind of shocking to see. To me, he's completely outshining Tank thus through the first 5 games of the year.
And it sounds like I don't think Tank is healthy. I think Tank is battling stuff, and so that obviously stinks for both Auburn, but even more so for Tank. So hopefully that gets done. But I mean, it just says so much about what the coaching staff thinks about Hunter, because a 98-yard drive where they needed to score to win with Finley against Georgia State. Who was in the game? Running back? Yeah, he was in there. And then
the game-winning drive, basically.
Against LSU. Yeah, that he was
give it to him. And you give him the ball 3 times in a row. I mean, you give it to him for the long run, then he you don't give it to him 3 times in a row. Sean had another one of those little swing passes where he picks up the first down, and then Jarquez go out at the 1, and then he punches it in. So I mean, like, you gave it to him 3 times in crunch time, like a true freshman kid that just played high school. I mean, I can't say enough about him. I'm like in awe of him at this point in time. I tweeted, I said, I love him with every fiber of my being. He is.
There's very few things I would not do for that man.
No, absolutely not. I love him.
He makes me feel a certain way, and there's just no other way to put it.
Totally uncomfortable at sometimes. He makes me feel so, but I love him. I still love him. And I think, especially when he was throwing up 660 with cowboy boots on, I said, "Oh boy, let's crack a window in here."
Most people reference how strong Jarquez Hunter is. They just talk about how much he can squat, but no, you include the most important detail, which is not the weight that he's squatting. It's that he did it in cowboy boots.
Yeah,
but I don't know if it's true. He dunked in cowboy boots. I don't think
that video.
I don't think he squatted in cowboy boots.
No, they showed it on the game. He's wearing cowboy boots in the squat. Like, you can see him doing 660 in cowboy boots. And then there's also a video evidence of him with a drop step yam in cowboy boots on a 10-foot goal. And he's like 6 or 7 at best. So he jumps over his whole height almost to have to dunk. It's crazy.
Yeah, like he could jump on himself if he wanted to.
Yes. Crack a window in here. I'm getting bothered. Let's go.
For some people, boots are made for walking. But no, for Jarquez, boots are made for squatting.
Squatting and dunking. Let's go. I love it. He ought to get
delirious. I am delirious. I've been traveling all day, finally back home. And I'm like, I get to talk to Charlie 5 for a few minutes. And as soon as we're done recording, I'm going to fall asleep.
Do it.
Where can people find you and hear you?
You find me on Twitter at _Charlie_5. You can find me on auburnlive.com, the corner message board, Auburn 247 Sports Body Get a board, or Monday through Friday on the Dad Bod Golf Pod.
You guys have been killing it on that, by the way. If you have any interest in golf, be sure to check out Dad Bod Golf Pod.
If you like golf and you don't listen, you're just a lost human. You're a lost human.
Yeah, you're dumb. That's really what it comes down to.
We're just going to go ahead and say it. You're dumb.
Well, we'll just, whatever. I don't care about what I have to say today. Whatever. I'll just say it. Follow me on Twitter at Zac Blackerby. Show on Twitter at Locked On Auburn. On Instagram at Auburn Podcast. Assuming Instagram is back up by the time you're listening to this. What a disaster that is. Be on the lookout for an extra episode with Chandler Wooten. Also, an extra episode as a crossover with the friends, quote-unquote friends from Locked On Bulldogs. Those guys are wild. All right. We'll be back tomorrow right here on Locked On Auburn.